Welcome everyone to episode 217 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantelleresco. I write stuff and podcasts too. Today, my guest is the new creative edge. It's Mikkelson, but now he's joined by Avery Olive, and they are talking about how they're, helping writers' careers from this point forward. It's an interesting conversation. Publicity isn't often talked about as much as it should be when it comes to, any form of the arts, to be honest with you, because it's all about trying to get people to read your book, go to that play, go to that concert. It's a never-ending struggle, and it's always cool to get that kind of perspective on the show, so that Mickey and Avery talk about their stuff, and also just the fact that it's a new partnership, and what each brings to the table, and like I said, all in all, it's a cool conversation. Like I said, I haven't been announcing anything exciting yet. I got really one more week of the slog. I've been to keep myself sane, I have been referring to my day job as a sparkle muffin. The origin of that is based on the fact that Liana Kersner, a previous guest on this show, has a series called Lady Bits. In the last episode of season 1, or that series, there's a character called Princess Sparkle Muffin, who is basically Princess Toadstool of Super Mario fame, and she meets a wicked villain archetype. And they talk about the importance of patriarchy in video games and women in general, and this ends up with both characters drinking, and hilarity ensues. So I always kind of think of my day job this time of year as kind of a hot mess, and that's what's happening. Anyways, on to the conversation.
Okay. This is my first time.
This is your first time?
time?
Okay. I'll grab.
Ever podcast.
I turn the recorder on. I'll grab you by the hand. Listen, there's only really one rule. Just be yourself. Don't worry, I'm silly enough for us all. It's all good. So let's see. How do we start this? So, Miss Avery, Mr. Mickey, welcome to the podcast. I will say, if there's anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Okay.
Pleads the fifth. How about you, Miss Avery?
Yeah. Okay.
I just be forewarned, I don't take myself seriously, so don't worry about it. We're just gonna do our thing here. So let's see.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah. So you guys have formed a partnership. You have come together to join forces to battle the forces of evil, or something to that effect.
Yeah, joining the forces of evil, fighting them forces of evil.
That's right.
I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to working with Mickey, and super excited as well. I don't think we're evil though. I'm good.
I didn't say you were evil. Well, I guess we're a cat's out of the bag. So I guess you're the evil face, and Mickey's the good. Wait, that doesn't work.
There's definitely a reverse fortune on that. Trust me, Josh.
Yeah.
Sure, he is definitely. He's the evil one, and I'm the good one.
Oh, okay.
That's the joke, right? Already? So he's bad cop, I'm good cop.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like, that Simpsons episode where it's just like, I am evil Homer. Just that's it. It's just evil all the way around. Just whatever. I mean, I do not judge it. Lord knows, I've had my share of characters on this show. So, how are you guys tonight?
Good. And I'll be, Josh, the reason we wanted to do this in all seriousness is, first and foremost, your podcast is the perfect forum to formally announce our partnership per se.
Mm-hmm.
For myself too, from again a serious note, Creative Edge is growing. We've had New York Times best-selling authors within our stable. We've had award-winning authors within our stable. We've had indies. We've had publishers. We've had all kinds of things. And for the first 2 years, I was virtually doing this myself, sacrificing family time, sacrificing all of that. And I needed a partner that I could trust. And I had one for a while. It didn't work out. Me and Avery have been talking for probably a year and a half to 2 years to get this together, and I'm a big believer in what's meant to happen is going to happen. And when my other partner had to bow out due to logistics between the U.S. and Canadian borders, I saw it as an opportunity to reach out to her, and we had a great conversation. And after talking with Avery for maybe half an hour, it only reconfirmed all of my afflictions around this, that she's the person I want to work with on this, and she will find ways to get some stuff done. So that's my take.
Okay.
Aw, look at that. Makes me sound so good. But yes, totally. I think that together we'll work at growing Creative Edge even more than it's already grown since Mickey started it. And he definitely has gotten to the point where he needs some help and he needs someone with some organizational skills, and I've got that.
Okay, so where Creative Edge started, I have an idea. I was there kind of at the beginning, and it's kind of gone its own direction, which is very cool. But I imagine now that you guys are a team, you guys have a collective vision. So going forward, what is your vision, and what do you offer?
Well, essentially, I'll speak from my end, and Avery, go ahead, cut me off if you'd like to after the fact. Our business model isn't changing in terms of what we're looking for and where we want to grow. We still want to focus on global media, global promotion for all of our authors. And what I mean by that is I want to be able to get the opportunity to have an indie author from Calgary be able to get reviews in New York or Greece or Australia or wherever with a global presence, because I think that's what's going to separate us from other publicists, where they're typically focusing on one area of one country. We're looking at a global basis. That's the difference from my mind. So nothing's changed in that aspect, but having someone else alongside me keep everything in check, I've already seen results of that aspect, and they're really, really, really positive.
I totally agree with what Mickey said. I mean, we're definitely looking for the bigger picture, going much more global, and doing whatever we can to help our authors achieve all that, right?
Sure. I believe you. I mean, I have no reason not to believe you.
We're awesome. Just believe that.
Okay, I can believe that. That's really easy for me to do. So, I mean, okay, so reaching globally is a good thing, but so are you guys focusing on a particular genre? Are you guys, because the challenge to me when I think global is, okay, I know who I am as a podcaster. Like I know who I am, and I cater to that particular niche in my audience, and I've watched growth as a result, right? So trying to hit that on a global scale, I mean, it does feel kind of daunting from my end. So I guess the question I would ask you both is, how do you approach it the same with each genre? Do you approach it differently per client? Like, what is your strategy there?
It's I'll let you go first, Avery, if you want, or I can comment. Your choice.
So I'm still new and learning. So I mean, I think this would probably be better for Mickey to start off with. So I'll let him take the lead.
Okay. So even when we first talked, Josh, when you first interviewed me, our model isn't changing. I'm a big believer in the collaboration aspect, rather than trying to develop a business by sending out a press release, emailing, begging for a review, and then getting either turned down or not getting an answer back. That's the first thing. The second part of that is around collaborations, and that's the important part of the deck. Collaborations meaning you reach out to media, whoever it is, or you reach out to an opportunity, and you get to know them as people. And by getting to know them as people, you can ask them what kind of opportunities are they looking for their specific mediums. We've managed to arrange it so that we're not really focusing on one specific genre.
Okay.
If it matches with whatever that medium is doing, we're going to try and book that individual. I've had science fiction authors on horror sites and romance sites and women's fiction sites because it made sense for that medium to cover that individual. And I don't like to fall into the trap of selecting specific. Creative Edge doesn't like to fall into the trap of getting specific around the genres. It just, because then then it kind of limits as to what you can or can't do from a media and a publicity perspective.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense for me.
I'm just. There's two of you, so I'm just letting you guys go back and forth as much as I can because so the less I'm here, the better. You know what I mean? So, but I mean that's the no. I'm just curious because I mean when you hear that, it sounds great, but it's the specifics of it that I'm always curious about more than anything else. All right, so. I'm going to talk to Avery a little bit, if that's okay, Mickey, because I know you, and I know how much you like furniture, but the thing is, you've been doing this for yourself for a bit, and so, what was the attraction for you, Avery? What I mean, not just working with Mickey, I know that's a part of it, but I mean, I know this from experience myself. Publicity is a very you have to be very determined and dogged to do it. So, what was the moment where you said, I wanted to do this?
So, well, as Mickey had said kind of in the beginning, we had talked on and off for a couple of years now. I mean, I think we first kind of got to know each other at When Words Collide a couple of years ago. And, he had kind of explained what he was doing and, the direction he was going. And it sounded interesting because, I mean, obviously... I live in Red Deer, but I spend a lot of time in Calgary, and I spend a lot of time in the writing community in Calgary. And, I mean, some of my best friends are writers and authors, and I am an author myself and a writer. But the chance to, I guess, give back even more, being like, this is an opportunity I can take where I can, learn something new, which is something that always grabs my attention, right? I love learning. And helping my authors get even more publicity and get noticed. Because I mean, I love lots of books and lots of wide variety, I guess, of genres. And I think that's why too Creative Edge doesn't want to limit to anything specific wise, because I mean that's what we like to read. We like to read very wide. And so that's what really drew me in. And of course, Mickey is just, so awesome and friendly, and that helped. I mean, if you're going to partner up with someone, I think we connected really well right from the hop. We had, good communication and all that, and I think that really, there's so many things that just kind of culminated into this one thing. And I'm like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to help everybody. I want to give back. I want to learn something new, and I want to work with Mickey. So
okay, that's good. So I'm gonna put you on the shelf again. You're not furniture. I love you, but I'm gonna ask Mickey a question now. So Mickey, you've been doing this for a while. What have you learned?
Yeah, March 2016.
Yeah. So what have you learned since? What has been the biggest thing you've taken away from doing this so far?
A lot of it in the beginning was getting personal with the authors. I mean, I did have a history of shuffling through some clients. Part of that was overwork on my part. Part of that was not citing the right individuals for this role based on personality clash. That's the first learning I took. And the second learning was really, again, around the collaboration piece, which took me a while to figure out. But once I figured out how it works and how to build those relationships within the media piece, it's now a lot easier to get those opportunities, and you don't have to stress so much about getting a press release out or stress about getting that or not getting that opportunity. It's all in how you fit it in my mind. So tons of learnings, tons of challenges, lots of positive reinforcement, and there were some rocky roads too. I'm not going to lie about that.
Well,
it's all worked out in the end.
Well, it's there's always the saying about luck is that you get the opportunity. Some people get through what they get through because they're lucky, but those same people will tell you they were in the positions to make their own luck. And I mean, like I said, I do approach things differently than you, but I've always admired your determination, and I've always admired the fact that you go out and go for it, and you've been doing it for a long time. So I mean, I'm glad you found the successes you've had. I mean, you've got some amazing clients on your repertoire, like your Rob Sawyer, and like for example, that's a huge get for you. And
yeah, he was.
Yeah, and I mean, you've done some amazing stuff that way. So, it's just gotten to the point now where it's just gotten bigger than you imagined at this point.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I originally did this, I had signed an author who was just a work friend, going to help her get a few signings. I never envisioned this. I never envisioned doing any of this. It just kind of dropped in my lap, and after I signed Miranda, who I work with actually with my other position, I got some stuff for her. Then I got reached out with some other people, and it just started happening. And it's like, okay, what do I do with this? Like, but hey, you form a company and you see what happens, and 2 years later, you've got international media connections, and you've got bestsellers on your clientele list. So not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
For a guy who doesn't know what he's doing or didn't know what he was doing. So
But I never let not knowing what you're doing stop you. It is my whole philosophy to life. It really
that's
is.
what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's why I'm here, right? Never let something, because I'm totally, like I said, I'm new to this side of, I guess, the business, right? And so but I didn't want to let that stop me either. I was like, this is an opportunity that I just can't pass up. Like, it kind of fell in my lap too, just at the right time. I was looking for something else in my life. I guess I have a full-time day job, but I needed a little bit more. I needed to be challenged. I needed to learn.
I guess.
Even though I have some learning to do, right? And Mickey's going to teach me. But that was it. I can't turn down such an opportunity. So,
well, on the flip side, I mean, you both are going to have things to teach each other. I mean,
I've already learned stuff from Avery already. It's been amazing. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, but I can even hear I can hear the blush from here. But
yeah, I'm terrible.
No, it's good. I mean, the one thing, I mean, I don't think Mickey's ever fully lost this, but I mean, it is easy. It does get easy after a while to take it for granted. Is he's around some amazing people all the time, and in one sense, you're great because you're going to get to come in almost. For you, this is like the beginning, right? So you'll meet some people for the first time. It's like, oh my God, it's so and so. And one of the cool things about that is Mickey will be like, oh yeah, I know so and so. That's so cool. How did that happen?
Oh, but it'll go both ways because I know a lot of amazing people too.
Absolutely.
She does.
Oh, I know she does. I know she does. It just, but it's one thing to be a fan. And honestly, this is what I've learned doing what I'm doing. It's one thing to be a fan. It's another thing all the way around to actually work with these people, right? It's surreal. Right? It's so real.
I agree.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I'll just can I make one point to that?
Sure.
What I found, and I didn't realize this until after I started working with Avery, how this was going to work, but it's funny because whenever I introduce her to a mainstream media person like the senior magazine editor at Locus or San Francisco Review of Books or even the editor of the Science Fiction Fantasy Network out of the UK, and I introduce her to that, a lot of people, and I've seen this actually happen even with my past partner, they were getting starstruck and didn't know how to really handle the email etiquette or whatever. That's not with Avery. She's extremely professional aspects, and it only reinforces the strength of what we're going to do as a team together.
Sounds great. So, Miss Avery, can I ask you a fun question? Or maybe not be as fun a question.
Okay.
What if you don't mind me asking, what's your background in terms of your day job and stuff like that? Because again, the sense I've gotten from you, like when I have talked to you, very few times we have talked, you're incredibly organized, and I'm wondering where that spawned from.
Okay. So currently, for the last 2.5 years, so I actually work from home in my pajamas.
I'm jealous.
And so what I do is I actually am an estimator for a company that creates crests and badges. So I don't know if you're familiar with like Girl Scout or Boy Scout badges, right? The camp ones and the ones. So we create those, but we also do custom. And so people will come with their stick figure drawing and ask, oh, I want to turn this into a patch. How much is it going to cost me? And so that's what I do. But I quote, and then there are a few other people that kind of touch the same customer. So I start the quote, I give it a quote number, but then if they want to move forward with a proof, I organize it as well. And then it gets passed on at some point to the person that is going to confirm the order, process the order. And so we have to have things extremely organized because we need to know where they are in the whole process from start to finish. And so, and it's all done through email. It's a company that, we have people in Sylvan Lake, but we also have an employee that works out of their home in San Francisco. So because we don't actually talk except through email, that's one of the things. So we have labels and folders and tags and stuff like that. And so I'm really organized with that job just because it's so important, because if you don't have the right even subject line in an email, something can get missed. So I'm hoping that I can also bring some of that organization to Creative Edge as well, just to kind of help myself, because I like being organized, but also help Mickey take on some new habits that will help as well, right? So that's what I do in my day job. And I don't know where the organization came from, so to speak. I think I adapted. I had to be organized.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to see my office, however, it is not organized.
No, me and you have similar habits. I if I were to surmise what I would guess in your case, it's simply because you are constantly collaborating with a bunch of different people, not just
that's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, right. Not just the client, but also your coworkers, your bosses, everybody. So there is a chain of command that you have to always kind of follow. Yep. And if you don't, there's a miscommunication somewhere. Yep. Shit goes wrong, and when shit goes wrong,
yeah, for sure.
And the thing is, and I'm sure things have gone wrong in the past, and you're like, well, fuck, and that sucks, and
you know what? It's because of something as silly as not putting a label on an email.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it seems ridiculous, but that's exactly if the person that takes over after me doesn't, can't look into that folder and see that, and the email just kind of disappears, right, without a specific label. And so, yeah, for sure. But like I said, I kind of make up for, I'm super organized, but my actual, office and my home life, and I'm terrible. I've got, clutter places. I'm definitely not organized.
If it makes you feel bad, if it makes you feel better / worse, currently beside me, I have a pile of comic books and books beside me, right? So,
I have a stack of paper because I also do the bookkeeping for the company, and so I do all the receipts and all that. I do a lot of stuff for the company, and so I actually have a stack. I'm gonna say it's probably a foot high of receipts and papers that I have to file. Ugh. Because what I do is I do that job, and I set the receipt aside, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll file eventually. Well, now it's eventually, and it's like a foot high. It's crazy.
So,
but I also do, I guess, so I write all the little creative descriptions. So we have a lot of crests that we have on our website, on our e-store, and so I write all the cutesy little descriptions for each of the crests. So I get to do a lot. This is, my day job is something a little bit different every day.
Well, it sounds like it's a weird combination of dry and creative. Like, it's some...
That's exactly it. It's a weird combination of, yeah.
Because, there's definitely just some things it's just following the change, and then your challenge is to stay awake. And then there's other days where it's like, oh, I get to make cool labels and stuff. Awesome. And that's fun.
Yes.
Right, I gotcha. I kind of feel like I'm leaving Mickey out here, so I gotta bring Mickey back into this.
No, not at all. This is
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
This is what I was looking for, vision-wise.
Yeah. So here's the deal with Do you? Okay, actually, this is actually a good question. Do you still have your day job at this point, Mickey, or is this a full-time thing now?
Oh no, I still have my day job, which is why I needed Avery.
Yes. No, I asked that question just for because if I'm not mistaken, it's like you do like from what I gather, you do something along the lines of an office job. See, I have I just you don't have to tell me what it is, but am I right on that?
I can tell you what I do. I'm actually I'm the account executive for an insurance technology company for all of Saskatchewan. So I travel a lot. I'm actually at a hotel in Swift, Saskatchewan doing this right now just because I was at a credit union event this weekend. But I teach lenders on how to sell insurance products, and then we set up technology systems for lending platforms as well. So I'm on the road like usually 3-4 days a week.
So I have a theory about office types of jobs that deal in the money end, because I generally have found that people in those positions are generally pleasant people. So my theory goes that you guys actually secretly have like a hit list for like people you just like for like. And then at night when no one's around, like you switch and come into full vigilante mode and get all those aggressions out, and then you go back to being the pleasant people you are in the office. That's my theory. I could be wrong.
I think you nailed it, Josh. Congratulations.
Okay, just
don't tell anyone our secret.
Okay, well, it's kind of late. Well, I guess I got my incriminating thing.
Now, that's it, Avery. We're done. We're hooped.
So this is our incriminating thing. Okay, gotcha. So is there a name to your top secret evil organization, or is it just like or is it like Vigilantes for Good?
We haven't developed a name yet, but we'll get back.
Okay, cool. Something nefarious, I'm sure, but that's all right.
But we both have office jobs that tend to maybe curb. I don't know about either, but for me, it curbs my creativity aspect. So the creative edge piece comes in after hours and weekends and such, and you just go full out. That's what we do, in my opinion, anyways.
So, for sure, like I said, I have a small amount of, creativity within my day job, or like with the descriptions that I write and stuff like that. But yes, my day job is definitely not always super fun and creative, and so it's really helpful to have another outlet, right?
Oh.
And so I do write. Of course, I'm always writing stuff. Short stories. I have written novels. I've published novels. I write poetry. So I'm always writing. But even this with Creative Edge, right, is another way to creativity, right? Mm-hmm.
So
it's true, 100%.
This leads to a fun question. So, Mickey, you've been doing this for a while. You've been around all kinds of wonderfully creative people for a long time. So, have you gotten the itch to write, perform, do something on a creative scale more than what you're doing?
Actually, no. And
No?
the reason, no, because I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and I would definitely not be a writer. I wouldn't have the aptitude for it. I wouldn't have the mental stability for it. I love to promote people, and that's where my strength is and my passion is. I have no desire to put anything onto paper and try to produce that and try to sell that.
No, I got you, but how about even in other ways, like, for example, going on a stage and talking to people? I mean, are you more comfortable with that now, or is that like something like...
Oh, yeah, I mean, I do that within my day job. I'm always doing training with lending staff, and even at this banquet I was at on the weekend, I actually had to go up and do a presentation and speak to that. So speaking would not be an issue at all, and in fact it's not. I'm actually looking forward to hopefully maybe doing a presentation at WWC next year like we did a couple of years ago, bringing Avery along as well. So
Oh, you haven't heard. I have public speaking fears.
We'll fix that. Anyways.
Avery, let me tell you a wonderful story. I'll tell this. I don't usually tell this one on the air, but I'll tell you this one. So I remember one time going to class. Okay, this is when I was like 13. It was French class, right? So this is what killed all my fears of public speaking. I went up, and this is when at that moment, puberty occurred, and I was wearing short shorts. But afterwards, I wasn't afraid of anything anymore in front of an audience. Because really, there's nothing more. Like, the worst things that can happen have happened. And once you're over that, it's like, it's not a big deal. Most of the time when you go up and speaking, people want to hear you. And people care about you. Right? Right?
It's true.
Right? And the thing is, as long as you don't completely clam up, even if you make a mistake, right? Look, I make a zillion mistakes on this podcast every time. And I catch them if nobody else does. And the thing about it is, it's just like you own it and you keep going. And what eventually happens is you develop a degree of comfort. The butterflies never completely go away. Like, they never, and they shouldn't. If you ever go up there and there's no butterflies, you should not speak. You're done. But
interesting.
Well, because those butterflies, like, they indicate kind of like that you care, like you really like whatever is going to happen. You want it. If there's no tension, even a little bit of tension, all right, there is no reason for you to be up there. You have nothing worth saying simply because you're not in it. You're there, but you're not really there, right? So you will always have, but you should always have butterflies. But
always.
But if you don't, at that point, consider a career change, like anything. I'm serious. I am deadly serious about that. If you are doing a job where you feel nothing for it, unless it's serving a very particular use for you at that point in time, you're done. Like, whether you realize it or not, you're done. So yeah, you're always going to be a little nervous, hopefully. You're always going to have a little bit of apprehension. But at the end of the day, if you're going up there and you're just yourself, and people are there to see you, and this is something that when I was doing presentations in the last couple of years, people are there to see you. They're sitting in that seat. So you already got them there. So you might as well have fun, do your thing, and let what happens. And every once in a while, you do something amazing, like making grown-ups laugh as they read Dr. Seuss out loud, which is what I did last year. And so that's the deal, right? Like, you have to look at, like, public speaking. That's the real secret to it. It's always should be a little terrifying, but it's terrifying because you care. The thing is, people want to see you. You matter. You can do it.
Totally agree, Josh.
Excellent. Yeah, that's awesome.
100%.
Actually, excellent advice. I mean, I've done public speaking, of course. I mean, I have been lucky enough to sit on panels and stuff like that at When Words Collide. I've done some book readings, and then so I'm definitely getting better. It still definitely makes me nervous, and of course, someone will say something and I will blush and turn bright red.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with blushing and turning bright red. Just make it part of your act. Hey, look, I can change colors. Whee! But anyways, it's just like I said, it's part of the deal. Now, here's what we and you got to do. See, I remember a few years back there was an open mic, and your partner was reluctant to go up there and be terrible. And I think he should go up there and be terrible once. What do you think?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Your partner in crime. Was. I think it would be good for him, and as much as for the same reason that it would be good for you to overcome your public speaking stuff. It's an area of uncomfortable. You will expand your horizons and be better at what you're doing. And yes, right. And yes, Mickey. I'm daring you. Like, open mic, me and you, we can sing a horrible duet and butcher it. For all to hear.
I'd love to sing karaoke with you, Josh. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't sing karaoke.
You don't have. Hey, listen.
Oh, yeah.
You can you can film it for Avery. You
If
can.
I'm ever in Calgary, we'll do it for sure.
Yeah, Avery. Avery, you can film it for blackmail purposes later on.
Well, also, yeah, maybe
Right, and then- or if it's-
all the power to them, but I will be the ones.
No, that's okay. I don't want you up there. I want you to film it, so that So
Okay,
as a
okay.
All over that.
yeah, we'll go up there. We'll butcher something terribly, and you can send that to people for Christmas. It'll be beautiful.
But Josh, going back to the whole me being a writer aspect too.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Part of the other reason why I'm kind of opposed to it is I really want to have the focus. If I'm doing the publicity platform aspect for my clients, I don't want to have any distractions from that. And if I write a book and I want to get promoted and all those things, well, now I'm not doing press releases for my people. I'm doing press releases for me.
That's fair.
And I find that takes away focus from what Creative Edge is trying to do. Now, I know that Avery writes books, and I know she's going to continue to do that, but we've also had the conversation that she understands, and she's in belief of this, that our clients take priority over everything.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's the difference.
Okay. Yeah, it is a bit of a challenge. I'm going to say that, Avery. Yeah, it will be a bit of an adjustment, but it is doable. It is possible. So, but I guess, let me think. I think there's just one last question on my end, and I think we can call this a happy interview.
Okay.
And that is, at this point, for those people that do not know, what does Creative Edge stand for?
Solidarity, innovative creativity, collaboration, working together, having belief in one ideal, and efforts to create media exposure for independent artists, traditional artists, all of that. It's hard to summarize everything that we do because we do so many things that are different and outside the box compared to other publicity companies that it's, yeah. Avery, do you want to comment on that? I know you're new, but...
I mean, no, you actually hit the nail on the head pretty good. I mean, and I think just touching on, I guess, why I think like our partnership works is because Mickey is so business oriented and has that side of the company, running pretty smoothly. But then I also know kind of more the inner workings of what it's like to be an author and a writer and that sort of thing. And so I bring a little bit extra to the table because I do know I mean, we talked to someone just the other day that kind of needed a little bit more help and guidance on just getting their ebook out, and I was able to answer that because I've done it. I know, or I've lucky enough to have a lot of friends that have helped me out as well. So I think that's one of the kind of additional things that makes the partnership work so well. So I mean, and all the words that he said about what we stand for, I mean, that's it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Josh, I'll say one last thing if I can around this.
Okay.
The reason that we set up our image originally was knowing that the traditional vein, the in-house publicity territory, company, organization, however you do it, they're going to promote the book for 3 months, and then they're going to move on to someone else. And I did not want to do that. I want to be able, any client that signs with us, they're going to get our full focal point, they're going to get our full attention, and we're not only going to promote work 365, 24/7, we're going to promote all their back work as well. So that they didn't get any promotion on that, we're going to find ways around that. And we're going to do it in a way that doesn't rip them off. And if that sounds bad, that sounds bad, but that's the whole premise behind why we did this.
Okay. All right. I think we have a good interview. We announced that we found out that Mickey and Olive run a nefarious organization and Creative Edge at the same time. And as general rule of thumb, I think this was really good. So guys, is there any events coming up like anytime like immediate, like we'll say around December-ish that we should be aware of right now?
Well, so Mickey and I are both going to be in town in December, and we're going to do attend, I guess, the Taste of Local Authors at Owl's
Yes, we'll
Nest.
both be there for that.
Okay. All right, and
then we have a couple of authors who have books coming out in November. Jenna Green's got a new book being released in November. And then there's lots of other stuff going on that we can't, well, some stuff we can't talk about as of yet, but it's big and it's coming, so.
Cool. So November's Jenna Green, December's
Yeah.
Taste of Local Authors.
Yeah.
Okay. So when in November is Jenna's book out?
I don't know the exact date. I think it's actually mid-November. It actually might be even out this week. I have to double check the date again with her new publisher, but it's exciting, and we'll be doing some stuff with it for sure.
That's cool. So when this is over, send me a list of events, like especially around the December time frame, because I'll be around for that. All right. So beyond that, guys, how can people find you?
Avery, go ahead.
Well, I wasn't prepared. Sorry. Mickey should answer that. He's got all the information at the tip of his fingers.
Okay, your website, Twitter, Instagram, something.
Yeah, I should have brought my website up. Sorry, Josh, I don't have it on hand. But www.creativeedgeservices.site. I can be found on Facebook, MM Creative Edge, Twitter as well, MM Creative.
Okay.
And we're signing people up right and center, and it's all been word of mouth. We haven't reached out to anybody yet, so it's good.
Okay, and Miss Avery?
Yes.
So how can people find you?
Well, so same thing. I mean, obviously we share the same Creative Edge stuff. And then I'm on Facebook, Avery Olive. I'm on Twitter as well. And we, like I said, we share the website and some, that's about it. I am not out everywhere. I'm just only a few places.
Well, then that is okay. Alrighty.
Email addresses too, Josh. I guess we can give those as well.
Okay, if you want to.
creativeedge@gmail.com.
Okay.
Right, avery.creativeedge@gmail.com.
So mickey.creativeedge@gmail.com, avery.creativeedge@gmail.com. Correct?
Yeah.
All right.
And that was my conversation with Creative Edge. If you're an author, you got a bit of a name for yourself, want to expand your name, give them a shout. You never know where they might lead you. I wish Avery, Mickey, I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope it's working out for you guys just well. I really, really do. Beyond all that, there's only 3 episodes left. 220 is going to be the last episode this year. Junkies Rush, the band, is going to be my Christmas episode. I promise it'll be a lot of fun. So there's 2 more regular episodes next week, and that'll be it. The reason being is I'm taking a little at the holiday break, so don't worry, I'll be back in the new year. Episode 221, I promise you, is going to start with a heck of a bang. I guarantee it. But beyond that, guys, thanks for another year. This was awesome. And that will do it for another episode of Just Joshing. You can support the podcast a number of different ways. Subscribe to it. Podomatic, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, you name it, I'm on it. Take a look, take a listen. Hopefully you guys enjoy what you're hearing. Beyond all that, my books, Watch Your Storm, Answer Wandering God, are available through MirrorWorldPublishing.com. I will be revealing information about my next book, Alicero, real soon. Outside of that, I have a YouTube channel, Joshua Pentellaresco. You can listen to some curious conversations there. And beyond all that, just stay inspired out there. Keep doing what you're called to do. And hopefully, maybe one day I'll see you on the show. It was my pleasure. Thanks for listening, guys.
Josh.